Hello everyone, thanks for having us here tonight. Angela is the co-founder of Queensland Koala Society, which is a 24/7 rescue group for native animals except bats. We specialise in koalas in the southeast Brisbane region, and we're currently in the process of setting up a rehabilitation sanctuary in Chandler. I'm one of her volunteers, and rather than stand up here and tell you about what we do, we decided to put together a small video to show you what we do instead.
Okay, so I've been caring for wildlife for about 8 years. It kind of started when I found a koala in my palm tree in my front yard, and I phoned everybody to come and take the koala away. The plan was always to have a property where I could rehabilitate. We bought the property in 2019 when the fires hit, and we had so many animals in care at our home at Carina that we couldn't even get down here until January. So we started off slowly, and as the money dribbled in, we were able to build purpose-built enclosures for animals. So the first thing to do when we came here was we had to plant our trees. We've planted in excess of 600 eucalyptus trees specifically to feed our koalas in care eventually. And then slowly but surely we built our koala enclosures, we built our glider enclosures, our echidna enclosure. As the donations and the small grants that we get come in, we're able to then build larger and more purpose-built enclosures for specific species. Generally, a member of public will phone us, let us know what's going on. By that time, I've usually got my keys in my hand and I'm pretty much out the door straight away. Stay on the phone with the caller and try and get as much information as we can on the koala and the situation at hand. So we usually get there, assess the situation, any danger, I suppose, and then we usually get our gear and get to work getting the koala rescued. A rescue varies. Like a koala on a fence, you can usually get that koala within a few minutes to an hour, and sometimes some diseased koalas who are in 40-metre trees can take days. They're not always, happy stories. Most of the time, unfortunately, they're not. They're sad stories, where there's, a diseased koala who doesn't make it, or a dog-attacked koala who doesn't make it, and unfortunately those numbers outweigh the good stories. So the koala comes usually when it's been rescued, it comes via a hospital where it's been given the all clear to come into care to be raised and rehabilitated. Generally goes into a small enclosure so we can assess it for the first few days, monitor it really closely that it's eating. It possibly needs milk if it's a joey, and then from there it goes into a larger enclosure, and then it's fed fresh leaf every day. Hopefully it just grows big and strong and goes on to the next stage of rehabilitation. Rehabilitating is very timely and very costly. It costs quite a bit of money for the formulas, for the animal milks and things like that. It costs almost $110 a month to care for one koala, and sometimes you've got 5 to 8 in care, and it's very time consuming and costly. People were coming to me and saying, they've never seen a koala in Whiteshill, they've never seen a koala in this area, until it's shown to people that they are out there, and it's just because you haven't seen one doesn't mean to say they're not there. People need to be educated about what's going on around them. At the moment, we've been given the opportunity to translocate our baby koalas, or our joey koalas, which is very exciting. We're working with UQ to release koalas into different areas and different habitats. At the same time, these koalas are being monitored. Then at least that way we can see that they're doing well. And that's really important. It's really early days for us, but it's also very exciting news. We get a lot of public feedback from people who say, I've seen this number, I've seen, to know that he's okay, he's doing well, and we can, phone and find out what his information was, where he's come from, how long he's been out. That sort of information's pretty relevant and really important that the public phone in for. Most of the time it's heartbreaking. Most of the time these stories are heartbreaking. And I try and save people those sorts of stories. But unfortunately, it's a reality. Unfortunately, it's a reality. Or a dog, or a koala who's been played with by 3 dogs. They're not playing with the koala. That koala's likely not going to make it. The caller says to you, is it going to be okay? And it's not. What do you say? What do you say? What do you say? Sometimes I have no words and I come back here and I bawl my eyes out, but that's reality. And the ones you get to save are the great stories, and every single one of those is great. We cannot afford to lose the koalas at the numbers we are losing right now. We are not going to have koalas in the wild to be able to see. Your grandkids are not going to be able to see koalas in the wild. You're going to have to pay to go to a zoo or a facility to see a koala, and that's the reality. I think donating is the big one, because I don't think people realise how costly it is to do what we do. 100% of the donations go directly to the animals, whether it's for fuel to get them to a hospital, medication, food to feed the animal, transport to release the animal or to get it to a vet. We need the donations to keep our doors open. It's 24/7, it's very time consuming and it's very costly. To be able to rescue a koala and rehabilitate a koala that can then be released back into the wild is everything. I mean, you're one by one trying to save the species. It may just be one koala, but it's one more koala out there, and every life matters. The highlights, I think every day is a highlight for me. I get to do this. I get to, look into the eyes of these unbelievably unique species. I'm honoured to do what I do. Every day is a highlight. I'm very, very fortunate to do what I do. Very, very lucky to have a team around me that help me do what I do. Every day is a highlight for me.
Okay, so as Angela says in the video, koalas only want food, shade trees, a mate and some space. That's it, not much else, just that. Their main instinct is to go up because that's where they're safest from predators and where the juicy young leaf tip is. Time and again we're seeing if there's koalas in the area, when you plant their food flora, they will come. Koalas grow on trees. That said, every koala rescue group will be able to tell you stories about repeat offender koalas, as if it's the koala's fault that it was hit by a car, attacked by a dog that wasn't on a lead, or had its tree cut down. Without habitat and connecting corridors, where else can they go? We seem to forget that these trees are not just homes for koalas and other animals, they're their supermarkets and highways, schools and play areas, chemists, and we come along and knock them down because our homes, supermarkets and highways are supposedly more important than theirs. For the last couple of years, our native wildlife have been in fashion. Almost every shop you go into recently has something for sale with a koala, kangaroo, cockatoo, wombat or other local flora on it. Yet not many, if any of those shops donate any of the profits from the sale of those items to help save or protect the wildlife depicted. We know this because we contacted several businesses and manufacturers about it, and they couldn't even donate items for our fundraising efforts. There's lots of apologies and dumb confusion, but no funds trickled through. Their fluffy bums are exploited by everyone who wants to make a quick dollar or have an attention-grabbing photo for their sales or political campaigns. As rescuers and carers, we rely on members of the public to call in sick, injured, displaced or orphaned koalas. For that to happen, they need to know what they're looking for. For people to know what they're looking for, we have to educate them. We try, but there's only so many hours in a day. It can take thousands of hours to rehabilitate one orphan joey, just one. You have to gain their trust and build a connection to get them to take a bottle. You travel hundreds of kilometres to collect enough quality leaf because there's no freely accessible fodder farm for carers in Brisbane. None. Then there's the trips back and forth to the wildlife hospitals for checkups and the specialised milk formulas to pay for. After all that love, dedication and money, there's the thrill of release and that moment of eye contact between you and this wild creature that you'd had a hand in saving, followed by the soul-destroying realisation that you'd probably meet again because you've legally had to release them back into southeast Brisbane's triangle of death. It's an honour and a privilege to be a volunteer on this rollercoaster ride of emotions and lack of sleep that sometimes you just want to get off. The ups and downs and trials and tribulations of being a rescuer and a carer are turbulent. You keep putting your hope into the governing bodies to do the right thing, only to be let down time and time again. The disappointment felt when countless empty promises materialise is shattering. The anger we experience when yet another grant is denied is debilitating. The sheer helplessness we feel when another koala corridor is earmarked for destruction is heart-wrenching. Where else can they go? What more can we do but make our political votes count and hope for better next time? How hard is it to limit habitat destruction, or to at least plant native trees and shrubs in and around new developments to connect disconnected habitat? How hard is it to lower speed limits in known koala locations? How hard is it to keep dogs on leads outside of dog parks? How hard is it to install wildlife crossings and fences to mitigate losses? In too many cases, it's all too hard. Apparently, so we lean on our teams and fellow rescue groups to pick us up when the weight of it all gets too heavy. We grieve together over the animals we lose, then rejoice together about the ones we manage to save. I'm only a part-time volunteer. I wish I could do more. I actually had someone say to me once, "Why do you bother? Because you know they don't have a hope, right?" The answer to me was simple: because we have to know we at least tried. My 6-year-old son watches us do this, and I need him to know we did everything we could, and if we go down, we did so fighting. We're exhausted, we're angry, we're heartbroken, we're penniless, but we are still fighting. It's not a paid gig. There's no local, state or federal government funding, unless you're lucky enough to get grants. No wildlife carer gets a wage to do this work. We beg, borrow, reduce and reuse whatever we can from generous members of the public. With the amount of hours we commit to these critters, we tend to learn a thing or two about them. Each animal is different. With their own personalities and mannerisms, their preferred way and place to feed or type of leaf. Most carers won't have a doctorate or a degree with letters behind their names, but they have a lot of hands-on experience and tons of knowledge to share with whoever wants to listen. And it's this knowledge share that is most important now. Secrets and assumptions are not going to help save our koalas. Open, honest communication in a safe space without fear of repercussions, back and forth, top to bottom, is their greatest chance. This all sounds like a whinge, but it's important that our perspective is shared. We are aware that there's a lot of exciting things happening in the research space at the moment and a lot of shining lights in government departments. There's people and places who are willing to push the boundaries and to try new things because they, like us, know that the current processes don't work. We hope the people referred to here know who they are. And to those people, we just want you all to know that QKS and certainly many other rescue groups and carers out there are more than willing to be involved in and to collaborate with you as you throw out the rule books. and we wholeheartedly encourage you to continue surging forward with your leading edge discoveries and suggestions. Thank you for what you are doing, and please don't stop. I have friends and family overseas who cannot believe we've come to this. How did one of the most loved, iconic animals in the world become included on the endangered species list? Why do people outside of Australia seem to care more than those of us here? Why didn't we start throwing more into and behind researching and understanding koalas before we got here? Excellent questions. Lots of us were asking the same things for a while now. Screaming them, actually. We've lost several great rescuers, carers and researchers over the years who got tired of trying to be heard, who got tired of having years of research shelved, who got tired of collecting dead bodies, who got tired of the sleepless nights of trauma season, so they got out of the game, one way or another. The eyes of the world are watching us now, and we keep showing them all these cute and cuddly photos, photoshopped images, because that's what the focus groups say people want to see. They are cute, but they're not real. And it's that distortion which has helped to keep the rose-tinted glasses in place for so long. It's past time to take them off. It's past time to get everyone together to share what we know and to start trying to fix what we have broken. It's time to save our koalas.